Ocansey.
My name is Grace Agyemang.
This evening, drama as police corner armed robbers inside locked Forex Bureau at La Paz. We have details of this story as it's developing by the minute here on Hot Edition.
Also tonight, ECOWAS court declares as unlawful and fines Ghana for violating the rights of NUFOR spokesperson Shalima Abusi. We'll hear from her lawyers tonight.
Also learning the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation GBC is accusing the Deputy Information Minister Sylvester Tete of demolishing its bungalow illegally. We have details of that. Stay with us.
And opinions are sharply divided over election time projects being undertaken by government. Tonight, we'll explore whether these multiple commissioning projects barely 2 weeks to the December election is meant to induce voters.
Stay with us here on Your Election Command Center. President Akrofi has been talking. He's indicated the right to free and fair elections is non-negotiable. We have details of that, plus an update on the campaigns of the various presidential candidates here on Your Election Command Center. Some 14 days to election date, December 7. Stay with us here on 3FM 92.7 across all media journal platforms. We'll get into the details now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. But first, let's get the summaries.
And traditional leaders in Botiano have appealed to the Member of Parliament for the area, Sylvester Tete, to intervene and stop planned demolition on Ghana Broadcasting Corporation land in the community. The leaders emphasize the need for dialogue to resolve any dispute over the land to avoid tensions and disruption. They express concerns over the potential displacement of residents and the impact on the community. The MP is yet to respond to the appeal. Students at Tripoli Senior High Technical School in the Northeast region are raising alarms over the poor quality of food served at their cafeteria. Reports suggest the meals are unwholesome and unhygienic, posing significant health risk. The situation has heightened fears among students, especially following a cholera outbreak in nearby communities. Authorities are yet to address the concern as calls for immediate action grow louder. Away from that, stakeholders at a media engagement have raised alarm over the growing public health threat posed by antibiotic abuse and antimicrobial resistance. In 2019 alone, approximately 6,000 deaths were linked to antibiotic misuse, which led to resistance. Experts are calling for a multifaceted approach to address the crisis, emphasizing the need for stricter regulations, public education, and improved healthcare practices to curb the trend. Finally, blasting by NAG Fairmount Constructions Limited on the Kaswa-Winneba Road project has damaged several homes in Dabenya, Gomwa East, though no casualties were reported. Residents are alarmed by the safety risk and lack of action from authorities. This follows a similar October blast in Bujumbura that claimed 4 lives.
That's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com here. Let's get into the details now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. A story we're following quite closely. Residents of La Paz are still reeling from a dramatic robbery attempt that unfolded in the area earlier today when what began as a planned theft took an unexpected turn when the robbers found themselves trapped inside the Rahama Forex Bureau. Now, moments later, the building was surrounded by heavily armed police officers. Alarmed residents gathered to witness the unfolding drama as the police strategized on how to apprehend the robbers inside the locked Forex Bureau. Now, the suspects subsequently escaped through a back door. There's a statement from the Ghana Police Service on this matter. We have a copy of right now. It's indicating that the police are on a manhunt for 2 robbery suspects who attempted to attack a Forex Bureau at La Paz in Accra this morning. The swift response of the police to the scene thwarted the suspects' attempts to carry out the robbery. The police say they would like to assure the public that they will surely get them and bring them to face justice. That's in a statement that's issued by the Ghana Police Service on this matter right now. I'll just give you an idea of what was happening earlier today, and then also the reactions and developments coming through right now. If you go on our Facebook page and our X pages as well, you would get to see them here on 3FM 927. Grace.
Yes, Alfred. And the ECOWAS court has ruled that the rearrest, detention, and eventual deportation of New Force spokesperson Shalima Abusi on 19 December 2023 was a lawful violation of liberty. An amount of $10,000, which is equivalent to 160,000 cedis compensation, has been granted here. The court ruled that it has jurisdiction to hear the matter and also admitted the matter. According to the court, the rearrest violated Article 6 of the African Charter on Human Rights and Public and People's Rights. Shalima Abusi was on Monday, December 11, 2023, granted bail in the sum of 20,000 cedis with two sureties after pleading not guilty to obtaining a student permit by false declaration. The court struck out the case as withdrawn after the Ghana Immigration Service withdrew the charges filed against the spokesperson. Shortly after she was discharged by the court, Abusi was rearrested and waked away in an immigration-branded van with armed security officers, causing her mother to break down in uncontrollable tears. Lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu is human rights and also activist and also her lawyer. He joins us on phone for a conversation on this. Lawyer, if you can hear me, thank you for joining us. We understand you, together with lawyer Belinda Nake Kwano, provided legal services for this woman and also condemned her rearrest. Walk us through the grounds on which the court ruled in your favor. Lawyer Sosu has not joined us yet. We're working the phone to speak to him and then subsequently understand the premise of the case, the compensation granted here, and what this looks like also for the New Force party, especially even as we are getting into the campaign, because she was supposed to be the spokesperson of the party, and now that the case has been ruled in her favor, we'll understand what this means to the fortune of the New Force party, Alfred.
Great. Yeah. And then we're going to stay the steam on this matter. Lawyer Francis Xavier is going to be joining us shortly. But let's go to Kaswa and get an update on that blast and what is happening there right now.
So another blasting activity by NAG Fairmount Constructions Limited, the company undertaking the Kaswa-Winneba Road expansion project, has wreaked havoc at Dabenyin in the Gomwa East district of the central region. Several residential buildings have suffered damages following the blasting. Eyewitnesses say rock particles flew from the blasting spot and landed on nearby buildings, causing varied degrees of damage. But unlike the Budumbram incident, which led to loss of 4 lives after a similar blast in October, there was no casualty in Monday's incident. It is unclear the type of explosive used, but residents are worried about the lack of concern by authorities, and some of them have been speaking to us.
Monday, number blasts almost blasted wall. Can't see any free and you know me, bidum gane any call a stop war. There's 300 meters away. You go do.
On Monday, when they did the blasting, we were told to flee our homes, and we did. We went as far as 300 meters. When we returned, I found holes in the roofing of my 6-room apartment. One of the stones even dropped on the floor. I have a 5-room building also at the top there, which has also been affected.
And I'm CEO, and I'm on call. Now, there's Russell, because you blasted one, there's a 5:30 to 6.
Mimidiano, my boy, my POP, into Sunu Gusisi Sampa, you in
My tenant kept complaining, so I was left with no option but to look for a carpenter to replace the tattered roof. The pressure from my tenant was unbearable. Though officials from the company came to witness the level of destruction, I haven't heard anything from them again.
So you had some of the affected residents in that Kaswa blasting. Let's speak to our correspondent, Akwesiado, who has been following this issue. Kwesi, thank you for joining us. Update us on whether the residents were given prior notice to evacuate the area.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. So with regards to the residents being given prior notice ahead of the blasting, that is yes, because according to the residents themselves, officials from the company as well as officers from the Gomwa East branch of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, did inform them ahead of the blasting. And so all of them sought for shelter from far distance from the blast area. They only returned back to their houses to, find out that their houses had suffered various degree of defects as a result of the blasting that was carried out by the Akrofi Constructions Limited. We are talking about.
Go ahead, Kwesi, and talk to us about, paint for us a picture about the severity of the damages to these buildings.
Okay, so we have about 4 houses affected as a result of this blasting activity that was carried out by the Akrofi Constructions Limited. Akrofi is the same company that has been awarded with a contract to expand and redesign the Kaswa-Winneba Highway. And so the 4 houses, we are having about a 2-bedroom apartment that has been totally destroyed as a result of the blasting activity. And then we have a 16-bedroom apartment which had also its entire roofing system affected by the blasting activity. And then we're also having another 3-bedroom apartment that has also been affected. According to the residents, the blasting activity was carried out on Monday. And when they realized that it had caused some sort of effect on their facilities, they reached out to officials of the company and also reached out to the departments of the National Disaster Management Organization as the Gomua East District Assembly. And then they were informed that officers from the company as well as from the NADMO would be visiting their houses to assess the impact of the blasting activity. But until now, they have not heard anything either from the company or from the NADMO. This is not the first time such an occurrence is happening here as a result of the contracted activity. We remember that early this year, there was a flooding incident which occurred at Gomua Otreko. As of now, the people who had their houses affected, as well as those whose farms were submerged by the flood waters, have not been taken care of. Then quite recently, we had a similar blasting activity leading to the loss of 3 lives at Gomua Budumbura.
Yeah.
And then we also had some residential as well as commercial buildings also being affected as a result of that activity.
And now on Monday we are having this one.
Yes.
So what has been the response of the company that did this explosion, and as well as a response from NADMO, if you've been able to get any from them?
Okay, so from the NADMO's point of view, yesterday I personally saw the Gomua East Metropolitan NADMO Director, Hackman Robert, who toured the affected area with some of his officers. I did engage him, and what he told me was that the company was making arrangements to ensure that the people at Gomua Dabening who have been affected would be catered for as soon as possible. That of the Gomua East disaster, he told me that the families that lost their relatives have been duly compensated, and then the funerals of the deceased victims were also properly taken care of. And then those who also fell victims, their medical bills were also paid by the company. But he did say to me that the people whose residential facilities as well as commercial facilities were affected are yet to be catered for by the construction firm undertaking this particular project.
All right. So, Kwesi, the incident happened on Monday and today is Friday. Have you been to the scene lately? How does it look like? Have the people who had their residential facilities affected relocated? How is life now for them?
Okay, so for the 16-bedroom apartment I spoke about earlier on, it is being occupied by tenants. And so according to the landlord, the pressure from the tenants was so huge that he could not bear it. So he was left with no option but to fix the problem that was caused by the blasting activity. For the 3-bedroom apartment, it is not in use, and so the owner says he is waiting for the company and then officers from NADMO to come and then repair his apartment for him. And then for the 2-bedroom apartment, let me say that it has suffered extensive degree of defect that may require that the structure be even pulled down and then rebuilt. For that one, I could not speak to the owner, but the NADMO director did confirm to me that the company's officials had communicated to him that they were laying down plans to ensure that that particular building was also catered for as part of the compensation packages for the people. He has assured me that the company and as well as NADMO would lay together and ensure that any blasting activity in the future would not cause any devastation like we have witnessed in this area.
Yes, Akwesi, thank you so much for bringing us that succinct report. Akwesi Ado is a reporter in the Central Region, updating us on that Gomoa-Kaswa Highway blast. Alfred.
Grace, thank you. Now, we're going to stay a bit further on this matter. We have Engineer Abdullahi Muhammad joining us on the telephone. And, Engineer, I do appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you. So it's good to have you. And kindly indulge me, if you can hold on a bit for me, because we have some breaking news coming through right now. We want to put it out in the next few seconds ahead of us.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
So some breaking news coming through right now, and that's well away from this blast. It's a memo we have received addressed to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, Alban Suman Akensfo Bagwin, and that is from the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business, Alexander Fenyomarking, dated today, the 22nd of November 2024, and there's a request to the Speaker to recall Parliament to consider what has been described as outstanding public business. And this memo reads, Right Honourable Speaker, the 6th meeting of the 4th session of Parliament, which was scheduled to take place on November 7, 2024, adjourned without any consideration of government business. Mr. Speaker, may recall that there was some number of urgent government businesses that had been advertised and scheduled to be carried out prior to the adjournment of the House indefinitely. These government businesses include the request for tax exemption for designated beneficiaries under the One District, One Factory program, the Ghana Financial Stability Fund, an International Development Association facility of $250 million, consideration of the President's nominations for appointment as Justices of the Supreme Court, ratification of the mining lease agreement, and also the ratification of the mining lease agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and Berari DV Ghana Limited for the exploitation of lithium at Ewoya in the Central Region. And 6, there are a number of bills, Grace, that have been listed in this memo, including the Environmental Protection Agency Bill 2024, Social Protection Bill 2024, and also the Budget Bill 2023, Ghana Boundary Commission Bill, University of Mampong Bill 2024, and also the Free Senior Secondary Education Bill 2024, Pre-Tertiary Amendment Bill 2024, and a host of others as well in there. So this is some breaking news coming through right now. The Majority Leader, Alexander Fenyomarking, on this memo we are seeing right now, a copy of which we have on 3FM 927, addressed to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, requesting the recall of Parliament to consider urgent business. But already the NDC MPs have indicated that they are not going to attend to the business of the House if the Speaker recalls Parliament. And this is what some judge said earlier on Key Point. We'll bring that back shortly, and while we get through to the MPs for some reaction on this matter. But there's another issue of interest, and Engineer Abdullahi Muhammad bringing you in here at this point, because this matter of the blast that we have seen over the period, this is not the first time, at least in the last less than 2 months. This is the second blast that we're seeing in this particular area. What exactly is leading to this failure that is threatening lives in the area?
Well, I say good evening to your listeners. I've been undertaking series of blasts with my the father roads that we have constructed in this country. I understand what is going on within that area. Talk of the Agyemang to Peduasis stretch where we did what we call the control split blasting around the escarpment. And then the Sawan bypass was within the community. and as well as the Nsawam Kumasi Highway. So I'm actually appreciative of what is happening in that area. What I don't know is how they undertake the blasting of the rocks. In some instances where the road corridor finds itself in a very built-up area, we have to get experts to help in the blasting of such rocks. What I know that we normally do is that we engage the community. We give them the time for the blasting. When they get to that time, the people are asked to move far away from the location. Every house within the vicinity is actually recorded, let me say, visually recorded, so that when the blasting is completed, we go around and inspect whether there has been some structural integrity concerns to such houses. I recall when we were doing the Nsawam bypass, because we're actually cutting the granite rock within the Stechichrome community. When we send the alarm, our HSC expert will go to the community and make sure that everybody goes about 400 meters square radius away from where the blasting is supposed to take place. And then when the blasting is done, about 30 minutes after, before they allow people to come closer to those areas. Because when there's a damaged structure, it's easily to be repaired. But when there's a loss of life, you cannot bring the lives back. So these are the few things that I'm expecting that should be done there. What I know also is that because of the explosive nature of this dynamite or the chemicals that are used in the blasting, they are not kept the armory, they are not kept in the contractor's yard, but they are kept at the police armory. So when you are about to go and do the blasting, a police armory team leads the expert. You go for the quantity of chemicals to use for the blasting, and a certified blast engineer or expert charges the dynamite into the rocks before they do the blasting. And one of the things you have to consider is that if you're actually doing in a very highly built, populated area, you would have, instead of maybe, let's say, if you want to do a one-time blast, which can take maybe, let's say, 7 meters, 8 meters under the soil, you may have to re-strategize and do what we call the control split blasting. So you may undertake a blasting in an area maybe 3 times before you can finish, so that you minimize the extent of devastation or damages to properties and possible loss of life. So I think that having seen the first time, I mean, about like I said, 2 months ago, or about 1.5 months ago, this second one could have been done in a way that we may not be seeing or hearing the information that we are taking.
And then we've got to hold people and institutions responsible for this continuous failure we're seeing. Who should they be?
Like I said, the ones we have done over the years, like if you remember some explosion that happened in Nsawam, I think 2015, where containers with dynamite were left at the quarry site, and then during the Hamatan season there was this fire that was within the area, and then because of the heat that went closer to the containers, there was this massive explosion that caused some loss of lives. And so the first point of call is that the police are supposed to be engaged. Where are they keeping the explosives? Who is the expert who has been assigned to do the explosion? Under whose supervision is that? The police have to be a part of it. The police armory, not just the ordinary police, they are experts who are into examination. They are part of that. The NADMO coordinating directors who are within that vicinity are supposed to be part of it. And then the APA. And the contractor, at the end of the day, is the one who's supposed to undertake the blasting and then the reshaping or reconstruction of the road. If you recall, those who have witnessed what we did in 2010-11 around the Suhumu Road, when we are about to blast, vehicles are asked to stay, like there will be a huge traffic, but it's understandable. So about 400, 500 meters away from the set location, all vehicles moving in that particular direction are asked to stop.
Yes.
And then when the blast is completed, a grader would now move on the road to do an inspection first of all to ensure that at least there's no explosive left within the charging hose. Then when that is done, then the grader and the payloaders will now sweep the road off the pointed stones or sharpened stones so that vehicles which are going to now move on that corridor will not be having challenges with their size. And so these are very normal things that is routinely done by contractors across the globe. And like I said, where you find yourself within a very built-up area, you cannot do a normal blasting that you would do on a quarry site, which is far away from the community. So that's what we call the control split blasting. And if you recall, Agyemang was a built-up area, and then Peduasa Lodge was a built-up area, in terms of the kind of houses which are actually on the escarpment, the mountain. But we had about 3 bends. So when you do that control blasting with the expert, I'm sure that you minimize the level of devastation, possible loss of lives in the corridor.
The area. Engineer Abdullah Mahama, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. Engineer Abdullah Mahama joining us there on this latest rather unfortunate incident. Again, another blasting activity by NAG Fairmont Constructions Limited. The company undertaking the Kaswa-Winneba Road Expansion Project has wreaked havoc at Dabenyin in the Gomoa East District of the Central Region. Several residential buildings have suffered damages. If you go on our Facebook page right now, at 3FM 927, we've got live videos of some of these buildings that have been affected by this latest blast, and it's not looking good. Eyewitnesses say rock particles flew from the blasting spot and landed on nearby buildings, causing varied degrees of damage. But unlike the Bujumbura incident, which led to the loss of 4 lives after a similar blast in October, there was no casualty in this Monday incident. But it's unclear the type of explosives used by the residents. In fact, the residents are suspecting, and they are worried about the lack of concern by the authorities in the area. And Grace, with what the videos we're saying, if you're going on our Facebook page at 3FM 927 right now, it appears clearly this is one that the owners of these buildings are having to deal with the loss until investigations establish who has to come in and bear the cost of this. It's quite worrying, to say the least.
Yes, Alfred, let's move on and do some other stories. And key findings by the Tax Justice Coalition Ghana on the IMF program shows that there remains limited integration of gender-specific considerations within tax reforms in Ghana. The research findings further reveal that the IMF tax policies have had disproportionate impacts on women. Key partners of the report include the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Send Ghana Action Aid, among others. With Ghana having gone to the IMF for the 17th time, lead researcher for the coalition, Professor Alfred said the country's current tax policies do not favor women. We can listen to Professor Alfred.
We rely so much on IMF's advice on our tax policy and administration and all of that. You realize that we've ended up with a tax structure that disproportionately affects women compared to men, and that disproportionately affects girls and all of that, and largely because our tax structure, with advice from the IMF and also our own government, of course, we have to own whatever has happened at the end, but we can also see the transmission mechanism or channel of IMF interaction with Ghana. We've seen that our tax structure is largely regressive, and that regressive nature of the tax leaves a disproportionate impact on women, and more so because the more indirect tax handles we are utilizing, because women operate more in the contact-intensive subsectors of the economy, it affects them more, and especially post-COVID. COVID and the measures that were put in place to contain COVID actually had disproportionate effects on women.
And the Women's Rights and Campaign Manager at Action Aid Ghana, Eugenia Ayagiba, is hopeful the findings will inform policy decision.
When you look into the report actually recognizes that IMF has, since 2022, put in a gender strategy. But then what we are saying is that gender strategy is not enough. They are not really working with it. What we are saying is that even if government is going in there, these are the things IMF should also look at to ensure that they put it in there, to ensure that some of the policies that they recommend to countries does not disproportionately affect the women in the country. You agree with me that most of the IMF policies or some of the things, their concentration has actually been in terms of revenue generation. When we talk about revenue generation in Ghana, we realize that it's mostly been through taxes. One of them is a e-levy that has been done, and a greater proportion of it is the value-added tax.
And you heard the Director of Women Affairs at the Action Aid, Eugenia Agyemang there, Alfred.
Some more stories here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, they've leveled accusations against Sylvester Tete, the Deputy Minister of Information, for allegedly demolishing its staff bungalow in Agyemang illegally. According to GBC, the demolition took place despite objections to the action. The state broadcaster sought assistance from the Ghana Police Service to intervene and halt the process, which was underway. In a statement shared on its verified social media account yesterday, GBC said that the police were called in to prevent the demolition from proceeding further. The management of the GBC, with the help of Ghana Police Service, yesterday afternoon stopped the Deputy Minister of Information and MP for Botiano English Agyemang, that's Sylvester Tete, from continuing there's illegally the demolition of government buildings on the GBC land at Agyemang. Now, at the time of what we're getting this, there had been no official response, but as we speak right now, earlier today, we spoke to Sylvester Tete, who has eventually denied this particular allegation by the GBC management, indicating that he was behind an attempted demolition of the bungalows of GBC in that particular area. Sylvester Tete also announced plans to investigate the allocation of GBC lands to private individuals in the Akwasa area where the recent demolition took place. And this is one that we're getting to shortly, hear from him as well, and what exactly the position of the GBC staff is on this matter. Earlier, this is what the GBC staff said.
Well, to be very honest with you, those of us here, when the whole exercise started, we were informing them that this is what is going on. And then, that quick response was not coming. Even the time that they were on the ground doing the demolition, we were taking shots and sending to them, but we didn't see any reaction. Now, so it was, I think as yesterday and today, it was in the news, the 7 o'clock news, that the head of the legal department, Kwame Waja, he said that GBC has not given any authorization to Sly Tete, the MP for Botiano English Agyemang from constituency, to do the demolition exercise. So I think the case will be taken to court, and then he has to come and rebuild the place.
Well, so this is the Deputy Information Minister and a Member of Parliament for the area responding to the allegation of he being behind this attempted demolition of this bungalow belonging to the GBC in Agyemang.
Evidence is here. They have not shown any single evidence of giving me different place apart from this place. The coordinate and the site that has been picked is here. What I have here, on which he approved the letter for us to build the school, here is it. So he's just indulging in partisanship. He's a politician, and I want him to come out and do the politics. As a sector deputy minister, and my boss will approve that, I will institute investigations into how GBC lands has ended up building private homes here where we are standing. So you should get ready. If he's a director of legal and he had the impudence to report his sector deputy minister to the police and had the guts to put my picture on their social media handles for ridicule,
that's Sylvester Tete. There is a Deputy Information Minister and a Member of Parliament for the Botiano English Agyemang constituency, where this GBC, that's bungalow, somewhere around Agyemang, is located. And that's one issue that we're keeping an eye on here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. live on also on Facebook at 3FM927. You can share your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions with us, read out to you and to the rest of the world. And on the matter of the new force movement and the issues related to it, Grace, earlier when you indicated what the ECOWAS court had decided on.
Yeah, so Alfred, the ECOWAS court says that the rearrest, detention, and eventual deportation of the new force spokesperson, Chalima Abusi, on 19 December was unlawful violation of liberty. The court has gone ahead to grant a $10,000 compensation to her, which is equivalent to 160,000 Ghana cedis. The court ruled that it had jurisdiction to hear the matter and also admitted the matter. According to the court, the rearrest violated Article 6 of the Human Charter on Human and People's Rights. And Chalima was arrested on Monday, December 11, 2023, granted bail with a sum of 20,000 with 2 sureties. And then after she was released, she was rearrested and whisked away in an immigration-branded van with armed security officers. And so they took the case a bit higher to the ECOWAS court, and now information we are getting shows that they have won the case. Her lawyer is lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu, who is a human rights activist, and then he joins us on the phone now for a conversation. Lawyer, thank you for joining us. We want you to update us on the grounds on which the court ruled in your favor.
Thank you very much. Good evening to your cherished listeners. As you would recall, and as you properly laid down the facts, Chalima was invited by the immigration, and based on her response to the invitation, her invitation was converted into an arrest, after which she later was arraigned before court because the immigration was alleging that she procured the immigration document or her stay with fraudulent materials. We challenged that at the district court and asked that the immigration provides the basis for that allegation. Unfortunately, just before they will respond to that and also respond to the human rights action we have issued in Ghana against the state, on the state dropped her charges, then rearrested her, bundled her, and to an unknown location. And she never had access to her lawyers, nor had access to anybody, only for them to deport her. And so this was what we sent to the ECOWAS court, knowing very well that Ghana is a signatory to the charter on the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and the various protocols that established the ECOWAS court. And the court had to deal with a number of issues, including admissibility, which the court said they properly admitted the case, had jurisdiction to deal with the issue, and then granted the request that the said rearrest was an unlawful act on the part of the state and violated Article 6 of the Article 6 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights.
Lawyer, so what does this mean to the case going forward, and also the image of Chalima, who was supposed to be the spokesperson for the New Force movement, especially now that we are some few days away for the 2024 December 7 elections?
Well, I think that it only vindicates, her position, because she's always maintained that, she hadn't been treated well, as even a foreign person in Ghana, and so my interest at the time was to work to address the negative image that was created by the conduct of those immigration officers. Because being a foreigner on our land and knowing very well that there are many Ghanaians in other jurisdictions, it was important that we communicate to the international world that there are people in Ghana that would challenge the status quo and restore the status quo when such violations take place. And that is why we went to the ECOWAS court. And I think this would re-energize their base, and perhaps this would also encourage people, other foreigners who are working in Ghana, to know that when they are violated, they can also have remedies before the court of law.
Certainly, yeah. Lawyer, thank you.
And Counsel, before you go, and this is Alfred, though, thank you so much for staying with us. Now, we're just getting some information right now, the breaking news that we put out not too long ago, that the majority leader and leader of government business, Agyemang, has written to the Speaker of Parliament requesting to recall Parliament to consider what has been described as outstanding public business. And he's indicated that these government businesses include a request for tax exemptions for some companies under the 1D1F initiative, the Ghana Financial Stability Fund, $250 million, consideration of the president's nomination for appointment as justice of the Supreme Court, some two of them which you're aware of, the ratification of the mining lease agreement between Ghana and the Ashanti Bauxite Company Limited for the mining of bauxite in the Yini Block 2 area and Agyemang district in the Ashanti region, and then also this agreement, the ratification for the mining lease agreement between government of Ghana and Barari DV for the exploration of lithium. All of this plus a number of bills, he says, urgent government business, reason why Parliament must be recalled. Are you going to attend to the business of the House if it's so done?
Well, I believe that we are committed any day, any time to attend to the business of the House. What has been the case is that this group of colleagues are known for calling on Speaker or appealing to Speaker to call Parliament, and anytime Parliament calls Parliament, they don't show up. And so we won't be playing to their whims and their caprices, and that every day you call Parliament and then we reconvene and you don't show up. And we know, that we have some few days to general elections, and our work in our communities and in our constituency are equally very necessary and very, very germane to the defense of our democracy. And so I don't think that the timing for calling Parliament is an appropriate timing, and I hope that Speaker declines, and maybe until the general elections are over, because we have barely a few days to election, and you are asking us to come to Parliament to reconsider how urgent are those businesses, and did they consider those businesses as urgent when they were doing all the machinations, going through Supreme Court to seek to assert majority, which they obviously lost in Parliament?
So to the extent that they failed to attend to the business of the House in the previous instances where they triggered the recall, it's one that it's not going to have you attend to the business of the House?
I don't foresee any of us returning back to Parliament until after the general elections. And in any event, when the NDC doesn't show up in Parliament, they don't have a decision quorum. Just as they refuse to show up in Parliament for us to adopt the proceedings, that critical proceeding that ensured that they became minority on the floor of Parliament, just as they were not willing to show up in Parliament. In the same way, I don't think that any of us are going to show up in Parliament for them to form any decision quorum until the general elections are over. The general elections are as critical as those businesses that they have listed.
See, but he outlines them as a very urgent government business.
How urgent are they? Since when did they become urgent government business? Did they only become urgent government business after a Supreme Court decision, or he just woke up all of a sudden and they became urgent government businesses? I don't think that this group of people are really serious with the people's business. If they were, they will be behaving the way they are behaving. Look, Alfred, I can assure you, any day, any time when we get to Parliament, we shall accept our position and defend our democracy in Parliament. So if they think that they are recalling Parliament so that they can have any upper hand, they should forget it. Because when we get to the Parliament, nothing in Parliament is going to change. And they must know that.
You say you are set your position as what? Or what position exactly?
Look, Alfred, in the Parliament of Ghana and our standing orders, there is nothing in our standing orders that tells us where you sit in Parliament. So when we get back to Parliament, we will sit at the majority side, because the NDC remain the working majority in Parliament. I'm telling you, you can check the parliamentary handouts from January till now. Every day when we go to Parliament, NDC will have about 100, 120 people. NPP side is having less than 20, less than 30, less than 40 for businesses that we do on the floor. And so that is not going to change. Because when we get to Parliament today, we will pass resolution, we will continue to sit where we are sitting. And since they have also committed that they will never go and sit at the minority side because that it will be spiritually, it will not be good for them to do that, then it means that until election, general election, we probably will not be able to have any consensus in Parliament.
I also appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is mine, sir.
Francis Xavier Soso is private legal practitioner, member of parliament for the Medina constituency, as well as the lawyer for the spokesperson, or the former spokesperson for the Movement for Change. Sorry, that's the New Force Movement, beg your pardon. Some 12 minutes toward the hour, 6 p.m. Grace, what do we have?
Alfred, well, we know that in the last days of the president's 8-year term, he's been busy, from the new 80 educational project to the commission of the Tema-Mpakadan railway line today. President Akrofi is a busy man, and he, along with other key government appointees, are expected to continue to commission even more projects some 15 days to the December 7 election. The last-minute projects have ranged from education to road infrastructure in what some say is a last-ditch attempt at convincing the Ghanaian electorate to retain the governing New Patriotic Party in power. Concerns also exist, however, over the true state of the completed project. Now, let me walk you through some of the few of such which have already been commissioned for use. And we have the Efien Kwanta Regional Hospital, which also came with the president's statue, which caused a lot of uproar here in Ghana and other parts of the world. There's also the 80 school project. We have the Flower Port Interchange, which was done just this week, some few days this week. I even used the place this afternoon. And then we have the Bank of Ghana headquarters, and then the Tema-Mpakadan railway line, which was commissioned today. The commissions are part of a bigger track record. And if your track record on infrastructure speaks well for you, then the commissioning will just help with the icing on the cake. If your track record on infrastructure does not speak well for you, then it will be an exercise in futility. These are the words of the Minister for Works and Housing, trying to defend what people say is the incessant commissioning of both completed and uncompleted projects by the Akufo-Addo-led NPP. So we have been sampling some views about such projects few days to the general election. My colleague Safo Abuahene has been speaking to some people on this. The president has also been speaking at the commission of the Mpakadan Railway. We can hear him.
The Akufo-Addo government has placed railway development at the forefront of its agenda, recognizing it as a powerful catalyst for industrialization, trade facilitation, and socio-economic transformation. Railways are acknowledged globally as the most efficient mode for transporting bulk goods and large numbers of people. They are a linchpin for reducing the cost of doing business and fostering regional integration. This conviction led to the establishment of the Ministry of Railways Development in 2017, tasked with the singular mission of designing and executing policies and programs to build a modern railway system. Over the past 7.5 years, we've made substantial progress in reviving Ghana's railway infrastructure. Let me highlight some key achievements. 1, the Western Line rehabilitation. In 2017, we successfully rehabilitated the 66-kilometer narrow gauge section of the Western Line.
Well, President Akufo-Addo speaking at the commission of the Tema-Mpakadan Railway. My colleague George Craning was at the event earlier today. Yeah. He's here in the studio. George, paint for us a picture of how the ceremony went down today.
Grace, actually, I was so, I would say I was a bit elated.
Okay.
The fact that these are modern trains. So for people who have traveled the world, this is more like a novelty. And it comes at a time where there's been issues of transport challenges, productivity, lack of productivity among others. So this one really comes in handy. With as little as 30 cities, you can board the train from Tema Harbour to Mpakadan around Akunsumbo.
Okay.
With no traffic actually. Okay. And this, unlike the old trains, this one moves at a top speed. And one thing that the authority is demanding from the public is that there's this whole excitement when they see the trains, they get closer to the lines and even get close to the train. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And so for us to get, let's say, no fatalities and all that, I think it's better that we are ahead to this safety measure. So once they are done with the safety campaigns, the train will be operational.
Okay. The president and other authorities were there to also speak about it. Yeah. There are concerns that the president and the NPP is commissioning a lot of projects because we're nearing the election. Did the president or any of the speakers respond to this?
No, they didn't respond to it. But for the sector minister, that's John Peter Mawu, he says the government has done a lot of investment when it comes to the railway sector. And then after years of neglect, it was in the year 2000 that we saw some development in the sector. Existing railway lines were developed, new ones were being constructed, and then modern trains have also been brought in. And these are trains from Poland. 2 have been procured actually, and then I'm sure others will be coming on their way. In this April this year, there was this controversy that it got damaged whilst it was on test run.
It was on test run.
So, this is
these are new ones.
These are new ones. So for me, I think this is a novelty, and it's timely, honestly.
All right, we'll see how it will start working, and then if any of us can get to enjoy the. Were you able to sit in any of them?
I didn't tell you that. When you go into the train, it has charging ports. USB, of course, Type C, fast charger, free Wi-Fi, restrooms. It's a modern thing. I'm just saying that it will not, these normal traders will not, mar the beauty of this facility. Honestly,
yes, we hope that they will take care.
Free Wi-Fi.
No, Kobe.
Free Wi-Fi. Yes,
free Wi-Fi.
You tested it.
I did, and I charged with my phone.
You charged your phone as well. Well, we've been speaking to some Ghanaians also on what they make of the commissioning of projects to some few days to the election. Let's listen to that.
Every tick by the clock draws us closer to the general elections come December 7, and today we are gauging reactions from people on the current commissioning of various projects by the incumbents and government to know whether this can truly be a genuine call or it is basically to impress. Let's find out from the people and know what they are saying.
There are issues which are serious, which the government refuse to handle, which are sometimes more important than those flyovers, such as what is at East Airport Hills, where I also live. For instance, we who live there for more than a year, water, they never supply water.
Looking at a project like the Flower Port flyover like this, they started a long time. And this year, the fourth year of the president, he said that he will dedicate this year for roads and some other infrastructures. And those things, they don't take just a week or 2 weeks or 2 months to build them.
My dream is say, I dare not my at home. I was thinking if it is a normal AEP, my beer who sing no more. It's not yet who say on the modern city. But now, so I bet election will be. We better say election meeting.
Rating this government when it comes to infrastructure development, indeed, they have done poor. Just yesterday, I drove around the place. They have not completely finished the entire project. So, because we have some few weeks to the election, I think they are just doing that to impress with their citizens.
My take on this issue is that it's about impression. Because there are some projects that are uncompleted, such as the hospital, and we've quickly completed other ones, like the construction of the roads.
Well, the views of some Ghanaians on the commissioning of some projects by the NPP government. There. Let us also know how you feel about the commission of these projects on our various social media platforms, on 3FM, on Facebook, and all the other social media platforms. George Quainin is still here, but this time to bring us the latest in the world of business. George, what should we be expecting?
So we'll be talking to GAU, and they are really concerned about the government's failure to implement sector policies efficiently.
All right, George, take it away.
Today, we thank you very much for your invaluable service to this great company, and we wish you well on your retirement. Cheers.
Thank you.
Happy retirement, Lay.
Thank you very much.
So are you staying or you are going back to Ghana?
I'm going back home, of course.
Wow. You really built?
I've got a home at Lakeside Estate.
Really?
Lakeside Hills is a dream come true, a community designed for all stages of life. Whether you're a growing family needing more space, a young professional looking for convenience, or someone seeking a peaceful retirement, Lakeside Hills has it all. With 2, 3, and 4 bedroom homes, there's something for everyone.
That's impressive. Exactly what I'm looking for. I have to start saving towards this.
See you back home.
Lakeside Hills, it's not just a place to live, it's a place to thrive.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, General Agricultural Workers Union GAO goes hard on the ruling New Patriotic Party government over what they describe as failure to implement sector policies efficiently. My name is Josh Queening. And now let's settle for the details of the stories. Former General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAO, Edward Kariwe, has expressed his disappointment with the really New Patriotic Party's poorly implemented agricultural policies. Speaking at the Peasant Farmers Political Party's Accountability Forum in Agriculture in Accra, Kariwe criticized the government's failure to address illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, and other policy interventions that he believes have been poorly executed. Take a listen.
Who am I going to hold accountable for the lack of implementation of the Polygo multipurpose dam? Who am I going to hold accountable for the failure of the One Village One Dam? Who am I going to hold accountable for watching people going to mount machinery in the middle of rivers and destroying the forest? Who am I going to hold accountable? It should be the current government. And they are still in power. So why should we be thinking about the future? When you are strong today, you are alive today, you have the power, and you are not dealing with that one. And you are saying that when you then come into office, you will be dealing with it. So it baffles me why you are not dealing with it now. Because we are not talking about individual, we are talking about the government. So we are talking about the NPP government. We are not talking about Bawumia alone. He's a member of the government. He's a high-placed member of the government.
He had the former General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Kariwe, expressing his frustrations over failed government policies on agri. And now to the real estate. And the president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Patrick Ebobonfo, has revealed that the association is exploring new strategies to stay competitive in the real estate sector. This move is aimed at addressing the challenges posed by the rising cost of building materials, particularly cement and iron rods, which has made Ghanaian houses more expensive compared to those in other developed countries. He emphasized that GREDA is committed to ensuring that Ghana's real estate sector remains competitive and appealing to Ghanaians living abroad.
We know the market. We know the market as it is. We know internationally what trends. We know some of the things that people want. Okay, so we are just trying to attract the market for ourselves, and so we're going to use other methods that as businessmen know. We know methods that we need to use to attract the market: good pricing, good quality, good locations, reliability, and then product support, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the things that we are going to use to woo investors and buyers into Ghana.
You heard the president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA, Patrick Ebobonfo. If you just tune in, you are listening to the business news on the Hot Edition. In more news this evening, with just 15 days left until the 2024 general election, Ghana's business community is calling for a peaceful and smooth process on December 7. At the AGI Ghana Industry and Quality Awards in Accra, chairman of the Ocansey Spare Part Dealers Association, Henry Autry, stressed the importance of peace for the business community.
May the good team win, and also we pray for safekeeping and no violence. We pray that the elections will go smoothly. You understand? Because both parties have really campaigned, and may the good team win at the end of the day. We are hoping business will emerge for everybody, so we the businessmen will be okay. Because as you can tell, the economy was a bit, shaky, but now it's coming up. I mean, everything is emerging well, so we are praying that things will work well for us, the business people.
And that was chairman of the Ocansey Spare Part Dealers Association, Henry Ochre, calling for a peaceful election. And our findings by the ECOWAS Youth and Sport Development Center show that many youths are willing to set up their own enterprises but lack access to capital. Resources persons, after meeting 463 youth groups, including persons with disability, employed and unemployed, said the findings indicate that many youths do not know that opportunities exist outside government jobs vis-a-vis the availability of government programs. This came to light at the two-day ECOWAS Youth Conference in Accra. Lead resource person for the ECOWAS Youth Conference, Professor Richard Boateng, said the findings will inform policy decision. Take a listen.
Another thing that we are also realizing is the fact that the youth are also sometimes seen not to be ready and available. Most of the things we're talking about, the lack of entrepreneurial positions. And when we ask them that, don't you know that this government program is there? They say we don't know. So we realize that their aspiration of going to the TikToks and the social media to look for information is usually looking for only social information that will make them happy and create fun, but not for intentionally to be able to create opportunities for themselves. And we for example, somebody told us that she's in a wig business, doing it temporarily before she finds the actual business she will do. Then we ask her, the wig business that you are doing is an actual business.
And that was lead resource person for the ECOWAS Youth Conference, Professor Richard Boateng there. Now, the ultimate goal of the findings is also to strengthen youth engagement and policy-making processes and ensure that their voices are considered in shaping the future of their communities and countries. And we'll bring you that soundbite later in other bulletins. But that will be all for... Okay, we have that soundbite for you. So we bring you that, sound of the provost of the College of Humanities, Professor Daniel Frimpong, at the summit in our subsequent bulletins. But that will be all for business news on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com. My name is Josh Queenan, and Billy Shen is standing by for the very latest update in sports. Have a good evening. Provost.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, on to our first story. It's about one player who has been making waves in the last few days, making his first Black Stars appearance in the AFCON 2025 against Angola, and also in the AFCON 2025 qualifiers against Niger. That man is Razak Simpson, who is a defender for Nations FC, has been claiming a number of of the Player of the Match awards with Nations FC, and the 3 Sports team actually got the chance to speak to him about his first appearance with the Black Stars and did this report. After a few training sessions with the Black Galaxies, Razak Simpson felt ready to compete against Nigeria at the CHAN qualifiers. He had met Black Stars coach Otuado during one of his visits to the team. While the coach praised the 26-year-old for his tenacity, he did not make anything of it until he received an unexpected phone call just days before Ghana's final 2 AFCON qualifier games against Angola and Niger.
I was there, then he called me and he said, "Oh, Razak Simpson, congratulations," and he spoke to me and everything. He said that he will be calling me 12 o'clock, the day he will be announcing it there. He spoke to me, he said he would come in. After the call, I go down on my knees, I pray to God, I thank God and everything that my dream is finally true.
The step up was a huge one for the centre-back. Weeks prior, he was earning clean sheets and Man of the Match awards with Nations FC, providing a commanding presence at the back in the Ghana Premier League. After his name was mentioned in Otuado's squad, Simpson knew he had a point to prove. The former Ashanti Gold man earned his first start against Angola And while Ghana failed to win, and in addition, failed to qualify to the AFCON for the first time in 20 years, Simpson was singled out as one of the nation's best performers, earning great praise on social media. He was trusted again against Niger and showed his quality. Now he's back with Nations FC and is hoping to get another shot in March 2025.
After the game, they all told me like it's a good game. I have a good match, but I have to put everything. Even the coach, Kudus, Jordan, even Didier also. Like I have to put it behind us. We have a World Cup qualifiers, and hopefully, if I'm being called to go and play the World Cup qualifier, I have to go and put up my best again. So right now, this is gone. It's really, really disappointing. Like, it hurts, it pains, but you have to put it behind us and go again. And hopefully we'll come back stronger. Yeah, Blasters will come back stronger.
The Black Stars are going through one of its worst periods ever. Confidence among fans has been at an all-time low. However, Razak has provided some hope for a turnaround in the future. That was a report there on Razak Simpson done by Emmanuel Owusu. But still on the Ghana Premier League, Dreams FC have been struggling at the start of the season, lurking around the relegation zone with just 11 points from 11 games so far. And head coach Abdul Karim Zito, who led Dreams FC to the semi-finals of the CAF Confederation Cup, has been saying this ahead of their weekend fixture in the Ghana Premier League.
Before, and I know the way to sack them. I told them it is not over. Still, we should not see ourselves because we are out of the bottom. We shouldn't see ourselves that we survive. We will not survive. And I want us to finish first round on a good note so that the second round will be a little bit easier for us.
That was Coach Abdul Karim Zito, the head coach of Dreams FC. But let's look at the fixtures of the Ghana Premier League for this weekend. Hearts of Oak versus Nsratraman, Bechem United versus Accra Lions, Hearts of Lions versus Legon Cities, Aduana versus Asante Kotoko, Dreams FC versus Karela, Bibiani Gold Stars versus Vision FC, Young Apostles versus Mediama, Basake Holy Stars versus Samatex, and Nations FC versus Brekum Chelsea. But let's move on to the Premier League, where Manchester United's new head coach Ruben Amorim has been speaking for the first time to the media, and he personally believes he's the right man for the job.
I'm a little bit a dreamer, and I believe in myself. I also believe in the club. I think we have the same idea, the same mindset, so that can help. But I truly believe in the players also. I know that you guys don't believe a lot in these players, but I believe a lot. I think we have room to improve, and I want to try new things. So you guys think it's not possible? I think it's possible. We will see in the end.
Indeed, we will see in the end. That was head coach of Manchester United, Ruben Amorim. And here are the fixtures for the Premier League. Leicester City versus Chelsea. Leicester will be without Abdul Fattah Hisaaku, who has been confirmed to be injured for the rest of the campaign. Arsenal will face Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Bournemouth versus Brighton. Everton versus Brentford. Fulham versus Wolves. Manchester City versus Tottenham. That is the biggest fixture for the weekend. There's also Southampton versus Liverpool, Ipswich versus Manchester United, and Newcastle versus West Ham United. Bringing an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Lishen. We have Grace and the rest of the team with more.
the most comprehensive election coverage.
Top-notch presenters and well-versed analysts.
Dedicated reporters and correspondents in every nook and cranny across the country.
All the action, every incident reported.
All the big stories covered.
All facts cross-checked. Every figure verified.
Every vote monitored and accounted for.
The numbers tallied, analyzed, and interpreted.
We have invested time and energy in order to bring you a comprehensive elections coverage.
The whole world will be watching us on TV, online, and radio.
Election Command Center. Facts, analysis, results.
I wake up early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiampofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
3FM 92.7. 3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Welcome back. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. I know when you hear that sick tune, then you know it's time to go to the Election Command Center. And let's begin with where to watch, or what we also call constituency focus. And it is a no-brainer that the Ablekuma South constituency is a safe seat for the National Democratic Congress. But seeing that the 2024 elections will be a race of policy and results by political parties, constituents say they will be influenced by ideas and initiatives that to improve their lot. We have been spending time in the constituency and report in this edition of Constituency Focus. Ablekuma South is one of the 29 constituencies in Greater Accra. The constituency has a voter population of over 60,000 according to the 2020 election. The Ablekuma South covers areas including Kolegono, Kolebu, Choko, Mamprobi and New Mamprobi with a predominantly coastal economy. The seat has been a safe one for the National Democratic Congress since 2008, even though the New Patriotic Party NPP held the seat from 1996 to 2004. The NDC won the 2020 election, securing 60% of the votes over the NPP's 38%. As the country prepares for the December 7 polls, electorates say their votes will be informed by some key issues, of which the closed fishing season initiative by government is key.
Most of us are fishermen, and if such a major decision about our work should be taken, we should have been consulted. But we were not. If we don't see any change, I will vote for NDC.
This condition, coupled with the prevailing economic challenges in the country, has worsened the living conditions of some people who say they are not enticed to vote.
I'm a fishmonger, and truthfully, everything has gone up in cost. There is no change, and I'll not vote for anyone to enjoy while I wallow in poverty. I have decided not to vote in the elections because what these politicians promise us, they don't fulfill it.
Well, so you had the constituents of Ablekuma South there. There's a bit of voter apathy. There are also some of them who are expecting some change in some policies, and that will influence who they are voting for. We are just some 15 days away from the election, and all of these issues matter, even as we bring them to you. Still on election-related issues, as we inch closer towards the election, students at Takoradi Technical University have been critically analyzing the manifestos of the various political parties with a particular focus on job creation. Job creation has emerged as a top concern among the youth, reflecting the broader national struggle with unemployment. Students have voiced concerns about the proposed measures' viability, wondering if they can sufficiently handle the serious issues of unemployment. My colleague Stephen Kujo is joining us on the line to help understand what some young people have been saying. Stephen, what are some of the concerns the youth are raising about policies by political parties, especially in solving unemployment?
Yeah, when we come to Takoradi Technical University, after school, what is left is job. So they have been assessing and scrutinizing both the political parties' manifesto to see which of the political parties' manifesto has the best policy that they think will help solve the issue of unemployment. And when you speak to them, what they have been saying is that they find the issues or the policies that the political parties have put forward as not being able to fully arrest or solve the issue of unemployment. To them, they see it as a mere political. They are bringing those issues or policies just to score political points to would line them to vote, but not not to fully solve the issue of employment. I've been speaking to them, and this is what they've been telling me.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is in the position to change what's going on.
Don't find them attractive.
Matter of them being attractive or unattractive. It's just that I don't believe they have our interest at heart. As a youth, they would promise 24-hour economy, 3-shift system, which will bring employment. But where is the money they are going to use to fund that? The money isn't there. We know. They know we know. So I would just stay at home, chill, and then wait for the post to be tallied. We are already in a digital world. They have not capitalized on that for the last 4 years, 8 years.
Alfred, he came as an economic wizard, and you want to divert into this thing. No. To offer this thing. The people of Ghana, actually, I'm waiting for JMC. I know what, I've seen him, and he's capable of doing the thing that he has promised the Ghanaians.
Manifesto looks better. I mean, I believe it's Chedis. Like, his own is more promising. It has more progress. It's looking into the future. And it's not even looking beyond the time that he may be president. He's looking like he has a time frame. Some will say it's not realistic, but maybe perhaps if you give him more time, he may be able to do something for us.
So for the 24-hour economy, right now we are having sectors which are running the 24-hour economy. So if the government can be specifically show us maybe or tell us or identify companies which will definitely could be able to run 24-hour economy to help the other 24-hour economy companies that we know, now I think that one will be good for the youth.
So we heard some students of the Takoradi Technical University telling us what will inform their choice in this upcoming election. For them, it is youth and job creation, youth engagement, job creation. Stephen, thank you for talking to us and bringing us those updates on your interaction with the students. Let's just stay with issues on election because the National Association of Retired Police Officers, NAPO, is urging the Ghana Police Service to ensure the country's democracy and peace is safeguarded before, during, and after the December 7 elections. Though the association believes there is already an elaborate security arrangement in place to ensure the polls are conducted peacefully, they are urging police officers who will be on election duty to be disciplined and professional. Some members of the association spoke to 3FM on the sites of a ceremony to officially open a new office complex for the association in Ho in the Volta region.
The side officer will work in concert with the serving officers to ensure that there is peace in the country. Yesterday, the police council met, and I was a member this thing was a topical issue. And we think the arrangements made by the National Electoral Security Committee is very elaborate. That they will ensure that there is peace during, before, during, and after the election.
Yeah, the police work is to maintain peace and order at all times. So I advise my young brothers and sisters in the police service that they should take their duties seriously. They shouldn't be influenced by any other factors like political influence or money influence. I don't think that's what they should do. They should think about themselves and their future. Like if they do the wrong thing, the consequences are for them to bear. If it's done rightly too, we all stand to benefit from it.
Some members of the National Association of Retired Police Officers, NAPO, urging the Ghana Police Service to ensure the country's democracy and peace is safeguarded before, during, and after the December 7 election. And talking about the election, the MP for Assin Central, Kennedy Agyemang, has urged residents in the Agyemang constituency to reject the opposition NDC in the 2024 general election. Speaking at a mini rally, he emphasized the importance of safeguarding the free SHS policy, which he claimed the NDC plans to cancel. He praised the governing New Patriotic Party as the only development-oriented political party, highlighting its role in bringing economic growth to Ghana. The NPP parliamentary candidate for the Agyemang, Catherine Abelema Afeku, acknowledged the government's development initiatives in the area, including the construction of health facilities and community sheds. We'll bring you the audios of these persons and what they have been saying even as the election approaches. And let's move away from election issues because the Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board has been speaking, and according to Joseph Boahinedu, he is cautioning farmers, especially cocoa farmers, to desist from the application of weedicide on their various cocoa farms. He says that the various weedicide brands on the market contain toxic chemical compound substances that distort the quality of cocoa beans, which also have negative effects on the environment and human health. He spoke at a cocoa farmers forum at Ocansey, Konongo, and Jaso in the Ashanti region. We can hear him now.
You know, we have a laboratory at Tema. Any cocoa that is being shipped has to be, we have to subject to rigorous testing. Because once upon a time, we sent cocoa to Japan, and because of 2,4-D, it was rejected, 100 tons. The entire consignment was rejected. Now, it started a lesson, and because we placed a laboratory at Tema port, testing every cocoa. We take sample from Kasi, we take sample from Takrady, and then Tema itself, and test the cocoa before they are shipped, just to ensure that the cocoa that's leaving Ghana is safe for consumption. But on the farm, nobody has tested whether the plantain, the cassava, the yam, the oranges, the avocado paya on the farm, whether they are also, extracting 2,4-D chemical into the food that they are producing for us to eat. There hasn't been any research into that. That is why we are sounding caution and warning to the farmers. They ought to be very careful.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahinedu, there. He continued that the next Baumia government free university policy for cocoa farmers' children will be funded by profits from self-financing cocoa purchasing plans for the 2024-2025 crop seasons. Alfred?
Well, that's really it from us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Remember, as always, to make a date and visit 3news.com for more news, and join us at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight, which is also live on 3FM 92.7 tomorrow morning for The Key Point at 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., which is also live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 and on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. On behalf of the rest of the team here on Hot Edition, I am Alfred.
My name is Grace Agyemang. Thank you for spending your last 90 minutes with us, and it's Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Yes. Enjoy your weekend and take care of yourself. See you.